You're watching Vancouver TV, where we show you what's happening in your city. We've got the latest movie reviews and access to your favorite celebs. From fashion to red carpets, live shows, and more, we cover it all, keeping you informed about your city and in the know about upcoming events.
Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day of life. My heart is so full of joy for these women right here. Lord, please make sure that Lisa don't get an STD and that nobody has kidney failure, because we finna get messed up, and let me get pregnant by somebody rich. That's all I ask. Amen.
We haven't hung in 5 years. I miss you guys. We need a girls' trip.
That's my car.
Not anymore, baby.
What if I just whip out my titties, you know? Okay, a titty.
I'll take a titty for a bike ride.
You sure you want to get turned this weekend with your girls?
I say this out of love.
Preach, girl.
If you are going to come along with us, please refrain from saying things like preach or go girl or any other colloquialisms that you may have looked up on Urban Dictionary.
Girl, bye.
That's my girl.
This weekend is about us. We deserve this. So let's go.
Destiny said you gotta get up and get up.
I have to pee.
Look, the line is short over there. There's a long line in the bathroom here. Just go for it.
Stop taking that picture.
How much did she drink?
That's my girl.
Hell no. I've known about this for a few months now, but that's in the past.
This picture was taken last night.
We need to talk.
There ain't nothing you need to say to her that you can't say in front of us.
Take my stun gun. Just tag him in the balls.
Today is the last day that we will ever be this young. I have not had this much fun in so long.
That's my girl. That's my girl.
Wait.
I got what you need right here. This is 200-year-old abstinence. If you drink too much of it, it's gonna have you hallucinate.
Do y'all feel funny? Feel me, y'all feel me.
You coming to get me, God?
You put something in them drinks, didn't you?
You know I got some bomb-ass kush if you want to take a hit.
Where did you hide?
Where the sun don't shine.
You know what? It can cause a lot of infection.
Girl, you can't get no infection in your booty hole. It's a booty hole.
To win tickets to see this movie and other fun movie prize packs, visit www.vancouvertelevision.ca.
You're watching Vancouver Television, and I am your host, Adela White. Welcome to MusicQube Education. This is a music studio, a teaching facility owned by Queenie. Let's go talk to her and go visit the studio. So I'm here with Miss Queenie, owner of MusicQube Education. So tell us about your studio.
Great. So we have been in this location for about 5 years now. I started originally as a private music teacher. After I finished my degree in business, I thought that, I really miss music, and I decided that I want to go back and do a music degree so then I can keep teaching. So after teaching at home for a little bit, then I realized, I want to do something more and something bigger with music education, because I see that in today's world where students, they learn very differently from traditionally how I learned piano. And it, especially in schools where they have a more self-directed learning. So with that in mind, I see that the traditional way where when I was brought up doing piano didn't work on my students anymore. They wanted more options, they wanted to do fun songs, they wanted to do things. And with that trend, it kind of made me felt that, I wanted to start a mission where I can provide a music education that's more updated and more fun for students today. So that's how we kind of put MusicQube together.
Fantastic. Tell us the history of MusicQube.
Yes, so when we very first started, we thought that we wanted to solve a few problems. One was the one that I just mentioned about, the curriculum. Another one is we see parents being very, very busy all the time. So they're running here for music class, then, within like 5 minutes, they're running to another class, like going to swimming and going to hockey and going to all of that, and they're constantly running. And the very first idea we had was, why don't we start a school where we can give parents a break, that they can stay here and they can do all sorts of classes. They can do reading classes, they can do art classes, they can do music classes. So that was originally when we planned for MusicQube, and then eventually we realized that we want to really focus and provide one of the best music learning experience for kids. So with only so much time that you have in your daily life, we kind of move on to where we want to very specialize and do music in the best way that we can.
That's great. So what other services do you have here at the studio?
Yeah, so we have our little kids program. So we start our kids very young, at 1.5 is when we start them with music and dancing in our licensed program, Music for Young Children. We do one of the only parents and kids class where we do it up to their age 9-10-year-olds if they still wants to be hanging out with their parents. We do also art classes here, where we find that music and art has a very strong connection, and oftentimes students who are our music students really enjoy having another way to unleash their creativity. We also do drum and singing, and piano, of course, and guitar classes here. So we try our best to, fit the needs of our students and see what are some of the things that they're interested in music.
Great. Now, I also know that you are married with one child. Can you tell us about your family and how that has a role with you being an owner of a business?
Yes. Originally, when we were married, my husband is an artist. So he's actually a DreamWorks animator, and I'm a musician. So it's kind of a very interesting kind of family that we have. That's right. So, he often, helps a lot in giving ideas when we're looking into art classes and when we're doing, the design of the school and things like that. For his job, he is also very kids oriented, so he kind of gives us a very different perspective, on what attracts kids, what, keeps their attention. And at the same time, after we're married, we wasn't really planning to have kids yet, but happens, right? So Jet, we have Jet about a year after we were married. We were married in 2014. So thank you. Yeah, so Jet right now is about 1.5, and he loves music, and he's being a great inspiration for me when I look at kids and music and how they naturally just love music. Like every time when Jet listens to music, he dances naturally, and we never taught him how to dance or how to do the rhythm, and he claps when he hears music. So it just kind of brings back the original thought of like music is a very important part of kids, and I see it in my own kid. But being a mom and a new mom and juggling with a business, it has been quite a ride this year for me, especially because you're constantly looking at the daycare schedule. You're trying to drop them off, and you're trying to pick them up at a certain time, but our busy hours are after school hours, like after 3, and daycare kind of latest pickup is 5:30, and just really scheduling my time wisely is something that I've learned over the last few months, and really trying to make sure that I have enough time, to raise Jet while running the business. So when I started the studio and until now, the important part for me is that students learn to love piano, or any music instrument that they have. Because oftentimes when parents come to me, they're biggest fear almost is that, oh, I heard a story where, his friend started piano and he hates it, he wouldn't touch it, he wouldn't practice it. And, we hear a lot of these stories, and it's mainly about fear. But with the story of my own child, looking at how kids naturally love music, you feel like, there must be something that we can do. So when we looked into how, piano is traditionally taught, we realized that, hey, it's not a very self-directed learning. We oftentimes just open the book and be like, okay, play this and that's it. And keep practicing, practice for 10 times at home every day. And next week when I see you, you'll be good at it. So we realized that, one of our goals we need to do is to keep up with the current learning style of children and how they individually learn. So one of the things that we started doing is incorporating some of games and really asking questions in our classrooms, even in a one-on-one setting. So, for example, we do a lot of redirecting when kids ask a question, and we don't stop them whenever they ask the questions. Sometimes we see parents getting anxious when kids ask, oh, what is this sign here? Why is this? And the parent will go like, oh, stop asking that question. Just focus and play your piece. And for us here, we think that it's one of the biggest things that kids are showing interest in music. And that's when we need to really answer their question and get them explore more. So every time when a kid asks me, oh, how do you play this? Or how do you do this? We always try our best, and all our teachers here to reply with a question to redirect them to see if they can figure out answer, because that's the best way they will remember, and that's the best way that they will keep learning. Another goal that we have here when I started, and it's a ongoing goal, is that I started really young, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity because it takes a lot of courage for parents to trust a young teacher. I started teaching when I was about 16. And a lot of the parents come and they saw my advertisement and they were like, oh, well, we're looking for a teacher who has more experience. And, I just think that the age gap between you and my kid is just a few years. Like, I just don't think that it's going to work out. But luckily I had, quite a few parents who decided to believe in me. And then as a result, I feel like, when I open a company, I want to give back. And I want to give young teachers a chance. And that has been one of our main goals, is to really develop programs. So we have tutoring programs here where young teachers, students, oftentimes we get a lot of resumes from grade 11 and 12s here that are really, like, they have completed their ARCT and they're really just looking for experience and responsibility. And you see a lot of enthusiasm in them when they do their lessons. They're very excited to have this special role and to share their music. And in return for us, then we see that our kids are very excited to have role models, people that they can relate to that is not so far. For them, they see that, oh, of course, like, parents, teachers, of course they can do better than we do. But when they see a child or their tutor that they're around the same age and they can do as well, then that's a very encouraging moment for them. One of the third goal that we have is that we want to do a class that is a lot more student directed and parents are directed. If you oftentimes look at a traditional music institute, a lot of times that this is our policy, this is what we do here, this is how you learn, this is how this is going to be done, and that's all. But in this studio here that we do, we really hope to stir interest for kids and really putting kids first in terms of having music and loving music and continue to play their instrument. So we believe that it's not about just, oh yeah, play this with finger 1, play this with fingers 3, but really, like, how do you express yourself? Do you play your instrument when you're happy? Do you play an instrument when you're sad? So those are those very important parts for us. And as school is coming to an end right now, and as summer is approaching, we are also having some camps designed to make sure that kids stay excited and give them a way bigger chance to ask their questions and be curious. As oftentimes, class time is very limited. We have 30 minutes, we have an hour, and that's all they get per week. So this really gives a chance for kids to explore more and be freely, asking questions and not be so lonely when they're learning music.
A very cute and colorful room. Tell us about this room, Queenie.
Yes, so this room is designed for our Music for Young Children program and some of our group piano programs where we do here for young kids about age 1.5 and up. You'll realize that, we have little carpets here because most of the class, they sit on the ground and they dance. And you see that we have keyboards out here. And you realize that there's no chairs. And the reason why there's no chairs is because we want it to be fast. So some of the games that we do is that they would play a scale, like how kids really love scales playing. They don't. They hate it. So in a group class setting, we do a scale, and they have to run to the next keyboard to do the next scale. So they make it in time, and then we make it a lot of fun games for them. So kids really enjoy learning music in that way. And you see that we have a lot of really colorful structures here and posters here where they learn about music. And you see these bears here. One of our little trade secret here for these bears is when they are about 2 and 3 year old, we compare rhythms to bears and their actions. So in a walking bear and a running bear, so we are talking about quarter notes and eighth notes. So it really helps them reinforce the music learning, and it's a very fun way for kids to enjoy and start music and not have a very bad experience or memory.
Definitely. So the program that you have here is with parents and children. Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yes. When I was program shopping as a teacher to see what certification I would like to have, one of the special niche needs that I saw was, I wanted a program that's designed for younger kids, because they're definitely not meant to be sitting at a piano for an hour and just sitting and listening to me talk the whole time. So when I ask around and see what programs is there available, then I saw the Music for Young Children program, which is a Canadian program for the past 35 years. And one of the specialty of it is that it involves parents. Oftentimes, when parents come to class, they say, I don't have any music background. I don't think that I can help my child. Like, I don't know what to do at home. And I just found that, this program with parents is very, very special, because at the time that you're educating the kids, the parents who have never had music education before is also enjoying the class and learning of the basic concepts. So when they move out of a group class into a private lesson, they can realize that, I know these things. I actually have the basics to help them. So this is a painting of one of our first recitals where we included all our young children in the Music for Young Children program. So what we decided after we started the Music for Young Children program is that kids, even when they're very young, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, they should still get a chance to be on stage and really experience it when they're young. One of the biggest challenge for kids as they grow older is they get more scared and they get more nervous when they go on stage. So this was the first time when we decided that, all our little kids, even if they don't play an instrument, they can always do a rhythm instrument, and they can go on the stage and enjoy being on stage and working hard towards something. So after we have had the recital and we got all the pictures developed, and then one of my friend who walked into our studio and said, hey, we do a hand painting for any pictures, and I think that this is a great time and great picture where you remember that moment. So, he got this done for us. And then after it's done, then I'm like, I'm going to put it and leave it in this Music for Young Children classroom to remind us that that's what it's all about. That's what we want to do. And we'll want to make sure that young kids get a chance to shine as well. So when I decided to open a studio, one of the hardest part was to find a studio space. I opened when I was kind of a fresh grad. It was within the year that I graduated, and I decided that, it's now or never. So I wanted to do something when I'm young. And knowing that it is a high failure rate in startups, so trying to manage and learn from all the business owners and mentors was a big help for me. So looking for a studio space with limited budget is that when you open a music studio, you need a lot of rooms, and building rooms are really expensive. It's more expensive than taking down rooms. So we found this studio here where originally the owner wasn't interested in renting it out. It was empty for about 2-3 years. It was covered in spider webs, and when we came in, we were like, the whole place was black and purple, and we were like, oh my, what are we gonna do about this? But we really liked the layout. It was perfect for what we're looking for, with soundproof rooms already built for us. So after a while, and then getting all the licenses, we were, in our budget, we didn't budget that it actually takes so long for us to get one of those licenses, and we were paying rent, just waiting for a license to come in, and stabilizing, and realize that the hard part is, when we have students, then we have teachers, and it's a two-way service. But oftentimes, we hire all these wonderful teachers, but at the beginning of a startup, we didn't have enough students yet, because it takes time for parents to know us. And when we have, all the students that we wanted, then we realized that, some of the teachers couldn't wait so long, because they also make a living out of teaching. Then, we had to do our hiring again. So it took a while for us to find the perfect equation to have the perfect amount of teachers with, our studio growing and keeping up with all of that. So, but I am a strong believer of starting businesses, and I always want to encourage young people to really just follow your dream and start.
With the experience that you have as a teacher, what can you say to other aspiring teachers out there?
I think one of the big things that I always ask teachers when we interview teachers here is, what makes you really enjoy doing music? Because I always say that a part of your own personality and a part of your own what you do, and not just in music but as in life, and your personality really be part of a student. So when we're interviewing, we oftentimes look at, is this teacher doing more than just, music teaching? Is she volunteering? Is there something that the students will look up to, which is a very big part for us? And I think for teachers that hear that, we always talk about is never stop growing, never stop learning. So we always encourage teachers to take an extra development course, because there's always something new that you can learn about teaching that's inspiring. And it doesn't always have to be about music. It could be about child psychology. It could be about how do you cope with obstacles, and there can be many different courses out there that's very helpful for teachers to use. And one of the things is also, I really encourage teachers to keep performing, and it doesn't have to be big performances, or maybe just playing, for a concert, maybe just accompanying student for an exam, maybe just playing at church, like something that keeps you doing what you love. And that will always be a special memory for students when they talk about their teachers, like, oh, my teacher is doing this weekend, my teacher is doing that. And those are very important parts for us.
Tell us about the name MusicQube.
Yes, I'm glad you asked. This was actually part of the longest process when you open a business, is thinking of one of the names for your business. So first we were thinking that music learning as a music hub for kids. So, you start thinking about a hub, a cubicle, and then eventually we're like, oh, a cube. It's like, a square where people are gathering and learning music. And then you go like, oh, my name is Queenie. I better put a Q in there, right? So we go like, okay, then let's call it MusicQube, right? So then we went on the logo designing, and it's very lovely to have an artist husband because he was really helping me out trying to figure, what I wanted as a logo. And I said, Queenie with the crown and in a music kind of way. So this is a triplet in a musical term. So that's how, that logo came in. This lion was designed for our first recital. When we first have our very first recital, we thought that, I want something that's very friendly and very encouraging for kids. When they come to the recital, they have the biggest fear and they're very nervous to see that, hey, there's this cute character here who's dressed up ready to perform, and you don't have to be nervous because everybody can do it, and you're definitely ready to do it. So.
Thank you so much, Queenie, for having us visit MusicQube Education and for sharing your story of entrepreneurship. This is Christine Adela White, your host of Vancouver Television. See you next week.